Om Shanti. Today in the Murli, Sweet Baba says, Sweet children, have your sins burnt away in the fire of yoga and become completely Sato Pradhan. Don't perform any sinful actions. And in the Murli today, Baba says some very sweet things. I'll read that out to you first in connection with this burning of sins. Baba says, continue to make effort and burn the alloy. When they melt gold, if the fire cools down in the process, the alloy cannot be removed. This is why they melt it over very hot fire. Then when they see that it has separated from the alloy, they pour it into a mold. So Baba says that in the world also they take impure gold, put it into very intense heat, and then the alloy gets burnt, and what remains is pure gold. And then when it is purified, it's in molten state, then they pour it into molds and it becomes a beautiful ornament. Now Baba says, you the soul also sit in the fire of yoga or subject yourself to the fire of yoga, and then when you will be purified, you will be put into the deity mold. Okay, so just like the pure gold is molded into ornaments, so we, the pure souls, will also be molded into deities once we become pure. Now, there are many questions about yoga all the time. So, there is this continuous inquiry into what is yoga, although Baba is teaching us yoga every day, but then again, it's not easy. It doesn't sit in our buddhi what yoga is. So today I will also approach this whole subject of yoga in a very simple manner. So you see, when in the world, people do this meditation where they just create a thought that their body is relaxing. Yes, so you create a thought that there is this wave of, some light coming or anything. You can visualize yourself in front of the ocean. And then you create these thoughts that your whole body, starting from your toes to your legs, to your stomach, to your shoulders, everything is relaxing. And then does that relax you? So when you create that thought, you feel relaxed, right? Yes. So now you know how to create a thought and manifest it. Yes, you know how to manifest relaxation of the body by creating a thought and a visual where you are creating a scene, mental scene, where you feel your body is relaxing, and when you actually open your eyes, you feel your body is relaxed. Even if temporarily, because again, it's like the soul is not purified, so even if the body is relaxed, it can only be relaxed for some time. That's another story. But we know how to manifest with our thought, right? Now, I will also tell you one instance where there is this brother who came for the course, and he is a businessman, and he told me that he told me that, Didi, I had been told by somebody that you just visualize that you are getting very rich, and there, your business is growing, everything is multiplying. And he said, Didi, to my surprise, I did that and I got the results. So he said, Didi, yeah, and it's not like I just kept thinking about I'm growing rich, but I kept thinking I'm growing rich with every action. So I used to, when I got up, I never created a thought I'm a failure. I created the thought I'm successful. Everything I did it with 100% belief that I am successful and nothing can stop me. And it was, and everything I did bore result, and today I'm very successful. Then I said, then why are you here? So what do you want from here? So he said, I'm very stressed and I am very full of fear. So I said, why don't you create this thought, I'm peaceful and I'm fearless? So he just sat back on the chair and he said, Didi, it's so surprising. It never occurred to me that if I can create a thought that I am successful, I can be successful, then if I create the thought that I am peaceful, I can also be peaceful. Yes. And then I said, but again, just like you are successful manifests into you are successful if you incorporate it in every action. Yes, every thought, every word, every action. Similarly, you will become peaceful when you think, speak, and act peacefully all day. Okay, so that's the way to do it. Now, when Baba comes, so why was that brother not able to think or, even get at the thought that I am peaceful? Because before Baba comes from the soul world, no human knows that these 7 qualities are the basic ingredients of the soul. Yes, no human knows that knowledge, purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power are the main ingredients of the soul. Now, we don't know, we didn't know, now we know. And then in the world, these 7 qualities are not defined in the true way. So we don't know what is peace until we understand it thoroughly from Baba's Murli. We don't understand peace. We have heard these words, but what is peace? How it feels like? How do you arrive at that peace? All that understanding Baba comes and gives. Right? So we did not have any idea of purity until Baba came. Or for that matter, what is love? We know attachment, we know lust. We don't know what love is. Yes, so we don't know what love is, or we don't know what is spiritual love, or how anybody can love anybody without expectations or without getting anything in return. So we don't know these things until Baba comes. So when Baba comes from the soul world, he, through the Murli, he tells us knowledge. Knowledge is, we don't know what knowledge is until Baba comes. So Baba gives us the knowledge of the soul, the knowledge of the Supreme Soul, the knowledge of the drama, the knowledge of our deity existence. So he gives us knowledge which we didn't have. He gives us an idea of purity and peace and love and power which we didn't have at all. We didn't understand what power is. We never thought that there is something called the power to tolerate or the power to face or the power to discern. And we never thought on those lines. And if you remember, when you hear the first time that that tolerance is a power or discernment is a power, you're quite surprised. So you don't know that these are powers. So Baba gives us a whole new dimension which was not available to us earlier. So we don't know how to access complete peace or purity or love mentally also. Now, when we know all this through the Murli, this is why you see this whole Raj Yoga, path of Raj Yoga has 4 subjects: knowledge, yoga, inculcation or dharana, and then seva. Gyan, yoga, dharana, and seva. Now, there is a reason why Gyan comes first. Because you can only do yoga, and your yoga can only be as powerful, as successful as your knowledge is. So when I started the class, I gave you the example of you meditating on physical relaxation. And if physical relaxation can be achieved through meditating on it, then anything can be achieved by meditating on it. But the thing is, we didn't know what knowledge is, what purity is, what peace is, what happiness is. So we couldn't meditate on it. Yes, now we understand these things, but again, in order to imbibe it, you have to meditate on it. You have to sleep over it. You have to sit in the awareness of it. Just like you create a picture that your body is relaxing, here you have to sit with the thought and the visualization and the experience that Baba is the ocean of purity, and he is, and when you're sitting in front of him, you're becoming pure, you're drawing in that purity. But you will be able to visualize it as much as you understand it. If your understanding of purity is not clear, if your intention of becoming pure is not firm, then you cannot draw in that peace. You cannot draw in that purity, right? So all this is interrelated. Now, Baba says that why this yoga is going to make you a ruler of the world is because this yoga is about your 7 qualities. And when you become full in all of those, your consciousness rises to a level where you can become the master of everyone and everything around you. But until and unless you get the complete knowledge, until and unless you're convinced enough that this is what you need, you will not practice it enough. And so the Murli, what is the Murli doing? The Murli is basically giving us reason enough and push enough to practice purity, knowledge, peace, the true kind. Yes, and it's giving us an understanding which we didn't have earlier. So now that you understand these qualities, now that you have access to these qualities, and then now that you intend to imbibe these qualities because you understand they are important, you spend time in practicing them in meditation. And when you do that, you become an embodiment of that. So this whole journey, so Baba always says that it is liberation in life or Jivan Mukti in 1 second. So once we understand and once we wholeheartedly devote ourselves to, imbibing this, it is very easy. But what takes time is appreciating that it is this that I need, not money. Like that same person spent that same spiritual faculty in attracting money. But then when he spent that same faculty in attracting money, money came. But then along with that came peacelessness, impurity, and stress, and tiredness, and everything. Lack of good relationships, because he didn't focus on the right thing. So Baba always says that the soul is the seed. Water the seed. So when you water the seed, the plant will grow. Yes, you water the seed, everything else grows. Now Baba says you didn't know what to water. You know the importance of watering. It's not like you don't know. But you didn't know what to water. You didn't know what is that which you want to have. So we didn't understand these qualities, and that is why Baba has come, and Baba is every day Baba is giving us this this inducement or this motivation that you meditate for purity, for peace, and that's what's important. And then Baba says also take care that you are not operating like you're filling the bucket from above and then there is a leakage down there and everything is getting drained out. So Baba says take care that when you are filling yourself with purity in meditation, then your thought, words, and actions all through the day are pure, and you don't perform any sinful actions during the day. Now, sinful action, so Baba in the Murli today says neutral action, and vikarma. So Baba says, Baba tells us the philosophy of action, neutral action, and sinful actions. So we didn't know what are sinful actions. So we thought that lust is normal, anger is normal, greed is normal, worry is normal, ego is normal. So Baba gives us the education about all these things, and Baba says that you meditate upon your purity, peace, love, and B, you understand when you're coming into action. Now, the thing is, you cannot not act. You have to act in this world. Action is a continuous thing. Yes, and it's not like today you say, I didn't perform action for half an hour. No. You do not stay without action even for a second. What you can say is, I was not conscious of my action. But whether you are conscious or not conscious, you are always performing action, and that's the tricky part. That's where the whole problem lies. So, all day, so there are two actions at least which are continuously going on. One is thought, another is remembrance. So remembrance is continuous, thought is continuous. And I think remembrance is the first one. So continuously there is some image in our intellect. Your intellect is never blank. You are always remembering something or the other. It's a continuous thing. And that remembrance again affects your thought, word, action, everything. So Baba says that whenever you are in remembrance of anyone and anything other than Baba, then you will be colored by that remembrance. And anyone and everyone and everything apart from Baba is impure. Yes? Can you think of one person and one thing which if you always remember of this world, not Baba, so something in this world, someone or something in this world which, if you remember, your stage will not fluctuate? Is there anyone, anything in this world? There is no one and nothing, because everything and everyone is fluctuating. And the same object or the same person who is a source of happiness is a source of sorrow the next moment. That's how it is with impurity. So Baba says, I teach you the philosophy of action, neutral action, and sinful action, because if you remember anyone or anything, you will be colored by their remembrance. Your stage will not be pure, and then your thoughts, words, and actions will also not be pure. Yes, so can you remember of any person who looks at you as a soul? Nobody. Everybody looks at something which is other than the soul in you. So somebody looks at your body, somebody looks at your eyes, somebody looks at your teeth, somebody looks at your specialities, somebody holds in their heart how well you talk, or how what kind of education you have, or how efficient you are in your cooking or in your taking decisions. So no person in the world can hold your purity in their heart. And when you remember that person, you will remember that part of you which they remember. Okay, and when you remember Baba, you will remember that part of you which Baba holds in his heart. You remember Baba, automatically you are a soul, because Baba is only talking to you as a soul all the time. And when you remember anyone or anything else, it's you connect with a different part of you. So Baba says this whole philosophy of neutral action, sinful action, and action, I tell you, because it's not like you don't want to perform sinful action, you will not. No. Sinful action is a product of your consciousness. Whenever you remember anyone or anything other than Baba, you will always perform sinful action. Because if somebody is looking at your body and you remember them, then you start getting attached to your body, and then you become desperate to have a beautiful body, and then all your actions are stemming from that awareness, I am a body. So all actions are sinful actions when they are done in remembrance of people and things. So Baba says, this is why I am telling you to understand this whole process. So first thing is you fill the bucket, and earlier we didn't know what to fill it with or how to fill it. And in the world, people know how to fill it, but they don't know what to fill it with. That's the problem. People know the law of attraction, but they don't know what to attract. So they are attracting all that they do not need to attract. Because now they are consciously attracting. Okay, and you see that anybody who sits and attracts, tries to think about getting wealthy, they start thinking about getting not wealthy also. Because once you think about I am wealthy, then the next thought is, what if I am not? And then you also start thinking about how when you are wealthy, people will be jealous of you. And then you start thinking about how nice it would be to see their jealous faces. And then you start thinking about how other people will try to harm you and you will have to protect yourself. So you are attracting all of that whole family of problems. because you are attracting what you don't need to attract. So Baba says the art of attraction is one thing, but I tell you what to attract, and I tell you the whole knowledge about who you are, what you're made up of, what is crucial to your existence. And I am a Baba is the template for purity. Baba is the template for peace. Baba is the template for knowledge. So when we sit before Baba, we will be able to draw into ourselves what he is. And he is purity, he is peace, he is love. There is no other definition or sample of love, purity, peace in the world. He is the sample, he is the example, he is the embodiment, he is everything, he is the ocean. In the world out here, there is nothing even close to purity, peace and love. So you cannot do that by remembering anybody else. So and the basic thing is paying attention to knowledge, because until and unless we listen to the Murli carefully, we don't get an idea of what truth is, what purity is, what peace is, what love is. And then taking care that during the whole day, we do not act out of impurity or anger or lust or greed or attachment. That's very important. But the thing is, even how to not act out of lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed is something that you have to understand very well. And this is why Baba has created this Alaukik family. You know why Baba created this family? Because Baba has created a sample of how you can be in a relationship. There can be exchange of time, energy, thought, money, everything without the 5 vices. And until and unless you become part of this Alaukik family, you cannot do the same in your Laukik family. Yes, so I will give you one simple example. So there is this sister, she's a psychiatrist, and she was having she was facing some issue with a relationship, Laukik relationship. And then she told me how to approach that. Then I said, treat him like your patient. So just forget that that person is your brother or father or your husband. Just treat him like a patient. So she said, is that simple? I said, you try it. Just when you go and sit in front of that person, just become aware. He's a patient, nobody else. And then she said, okay, let me try. And then after 1 week, she said, it was so simple, Didi. Just this one thought, he's a patient, changed everything. Now, why could she do that? Because she has created that consciousness of this is a patient with many patients. Had she not practiced it out there, she couldn't have applied it here. Right? So you need to practice in a non-challenging environment in order to apply it in a challenging environment. Now, Baba gives us that non-challenging environment in the form of this Alaukik family, where you can have exchange of tan, man and dhan without the 5 vices. So Baba says, when you do seva in Baba's house, it will give you an idea, it will give you a way where you figure out how to work without getting into the consciousness of work. Yes, seva bhav se kaam karne ke liye you need a stage, right? If you have never practiced it, you cannot go and start using seva bhav at home one fine morning. It doesn't happen like that. So Baba says, I have created this yagya where you invest your tan, man and dhan without vices. You remember that you are doing it on Shrimat and Baba is responsible for giving you the return. And you do it altruistically here. And when you do it altruistically here, then you will be in a place, in a mental position where you know how to replicate it in your Lokik family. And there are children who never create a bond in the Alokik family, and then they are trying to, be very altruistic in the Lokik family. It doesn't work like that. You cannot shift your consciousness without practicing in the Alokik family. So Baba says, I am your new relationship. This Brahmin family is the stage where you do everything without vices. So you teach yourself, you learn, because Baba teaches us every day how to do seva without kam, krodh, lobh, moh, ahankar. And then when you practice it here, if you cannot donate your tan, man, dhan, you cannot donate your vices. Let me be very clear. Because your vices are attached to your tan, man and dhan. So first, Baba teaches us how to donate our tan, man, dhan in the spiritual yajna. And through that, we learn how to act without vices. How to be in action and be in soul consciousness. And then we are in a position where we can replicate it in our Lokik life. Yes, so this is the way it's going to operate. There is no other way. And then Baba today is talking about donation of vices. So again, you cannot donate vices without donating your tan, man and dhan, because vices are attached to your tan, man and dhan. Yes, you don't give your physical energy to anybody. Do you expect lust from them? There is a system in the world. You expect lust from the one you feed. That's how the system works. You demand lust and you say that you have to be in a lustful relationship, in this relationship, because I'm providing for you, or I'm, this is how it is asserted. So Baba says, lust and the energy exchange are related. So all these 5 vices, you look at them, where your tan, man, dhan lies, there your 5 vices lie. Where there is no exchange of time, thought, money, there is no exchange of vices also. So Baba says you have to practice being in the yajna and donating your tan, man, dhan in an altruistic way, without expecting in return, and which Baba says you get the return multifold times, because altruistic action pays you much more than selfish action. But then Baba says, if you don't understand this law and you're trying to just, like a fancy idea, donate your vices, it doesn't work like that. So we have to understand everything in the right perspective first. Why God has to come from the soul world, why he has to create such a big yajna. Why couldn't he teach out of a mobile van? Why did he create centers? And there's this whole thing about rent and bills and sisters getting surrendered, and then there is this whole provision. Why did he create all this? So that we could do altruistic service and learn how to engage in action which is not vicious. If he's God, he could have designed a simpler design, could he not? He could have found a simpler way to do everything, but why did he take the long route? Because in the long route, everything will be surrendered. So, this is how Baba tells us it's going to be, and then Baba today says that, very interestingly, Baba says, the ashram of the BKs is a quarantine class. And I will tell you one thing. So, when this whole quarantine thing began in COVID times, most people heard this word quarantine for the first time, but BKs had heard it a lot of times earlier because it comes in the Murli. So we had a fairly good idea about what quarantine is. So Baba says this BK is a quarantine class, which means this infection of 5 vices so that you don't carry to Satyug, which you can't. So Baba says before you get entry into Satyug, you have to have this quarantine here where you will be taught how to get rid of these 5 infections, and then you leave these viruses here, and then you go to Satyug. So Baba says, I teach you yoga, I teach you purity, I teach you how to donate your 5 vices, and then only you can go to Satyug. So this is a quarantine class, and Baba says, when you invite people of the world to programs and they inaugurate and they become part of a formal participant in your programs, tell them what you do. Give them an idea that this Brahma Kumaris has been created by Shiv Baba so that you can donate your vices here and learn how to operate without vices. So this is a platform where you practice to act non-viciously or virtuously. Yes, you remain in relationships where there is no lust, no attachment. Have you ever had a relationship without lust or greed or attachment or ego in the world? This is the first time we have a relationship, this relationship between Baba and children, which is a relationship where there is no vice. So Baba says, this is the work you do, this is the relationship you have, which is non-vicious. And this is what I create so that you can leave your infection here and move to Satyug. And then Baba today says that purity is newness and it is the foundation of knowledge. So just like I discussed earlier, people had some idea of peace, although distorted, or love or something, so at least they knew the names. But had you ever heard purity as much as had heard this word purity as much as in a month as you hear it every day today? So, for months together, we never crossed this word purity. And here it's all about purity. And there was this one brother, and he came to the center for 3 days, and the third day he said, something, I couldn't sleep yesterday because you keep saying this purity, 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 and I don't get what it means. What does this mean? I don't know. And I felt so stupid that I don't understand what purity means. What is that? So Baba says, purity, what is purity of the mind? So when you have to think about this, it takes deliberation. What is purity of speech? How do you conduct yourself in a pure way? And that's the newness. That's something that the world doesn't know. And he says it's the foundation of knowledge. So knowledge is the knowledge of purity. Okay, so today think about what is purity, what you've understood until now, and write a paragraph and submit on WhatsApp. Okay, let's see how much you understand this new knowledge. Om Shanti.